so please everyone welcome Quinn Lord. Come on in.
Greetings.
Might have to bring it a little close.
Greetings.
How are you today?
Oh, really good. How are you doing?
Good. We're here. We're getting Sinister kicked off with a good start. We've had great panels, and we're going to keep having great panels.
Oh, that's good.
So as we all know, Quinn is the infamous Sam from Trick or Treat. And how excited are we to have him here, you guys? I know for me in my household, it is a huge movie in my household. For us, Halloween tradition, Halloween starts on October 1st for us, and we watch Trick or Treat every year on October 1st. And this is the first year we got to share it with my 4-year-old son, and he is now obsessed.
Oh, wow.
I will say the one thing that was most interesting for us was that we explained to him that Sam was a little boy, and then when you reveal your pumpkin face, he sat up and said, "Seriously? He's an alien!" So he is now convinced that Sam is an alien.
Okay.
So it's great, and I'm really excited to have you here. So you started out acting in commercials.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Kohl's, Capital One, to list a couple of them.
Yep, and funny story about the Kohl's commercials was it was for the summer catalog, I think. And at the time, this is like right before filming Trick or Treat, we ended up getting traveled all the way to Cape Town, South Africa to film those.
Wow. So you
Because it was the summer shots during, I think we were filming it in the winter or something. But
Weather.
I think it was just an excuse to travel and have a vacation in South Africa. So.
And not only for Trick or Treat, but you have done such a great catalog. You have some really great stuff under your name. The Man in the High Castle, you were in Once Upon a Time. You did Firefly Lane.
Oh, yeah.
You also have had roles in Smallville, Supernatural, Deck the Halls. You did voices for Space Buddies and Santa Buddies, which my son is obsessed with as well.
Oh, not the voices. I was one of the owners of the dogs.
Yes, that's right.
No.
I'm sorry. my bad.
Sorry.
So you have done so much, but going back and with Trick or Treat kind of being like a pivotal role for you, I know you were 7 at the time, correct?
That is correct.
So you had no idea that it was going to explode, but how
I don't think
is
anyone
your
ever does.
brain wrapped around it now? And was there a pivotal moment where you saw like an animatronic or fan art or something where you were like, damn, this really is a cult classic and it's huge, it's just massive?
Well, from my perspective as a kid, we filmed it in winter of 2006 and 2007, with a planned release, I think, maybe in 2008, theatrical release, that is. But then it got delayed and pushed back and eventually released on DVD in 2009. But then it had been out for a couple of years, and then I heard, I think, like, my parents were conversing with people, and apparently it was like, oh, well, you can go to a convention for this movie now. And I'm like, well, what is that like? And so I went to, I think, Cincinnati Horror Hound in 2011, and that was the very first convention I ever went to. And I loved it. And I was like, wait, you're all here to see me? Oh. And so, yeah, it just kept going from there, and I've gone to conventions ever since. Really, really enjoying meeting every single one of you, like one-on-one. Not just the panels. I much prefer like the table one-on-one because I get to have a much more personalized conversation with each of you. But yeah, it's really nice just getting to meet more and more people who discovered the film and hearing their story of how they were, introduced, whether it's like by a friend or they just randomly found the movie when it was like suggested to them through some algorithm on a streaming service or just scrolling through like a video on demand or something. It's really interesting, like how it's progressing in the merchandise, and Spirit Halloween now it's got its own section. It's really surreal.
Yeah. I know Spirit has their own section. We own about everything. My husband is obsessed. Are you surprised every time that you meet somebody and they have like a tattoo and like your characters and you're like, that's basically me. Like,
yeah.
Even though it's Sam, it's you on their arm. Does that like blow you away or?
And it's a tattoo, so that means it's permanent. So
yeah,
that's just a little, I get a little tripped out. A little just like, that's permanent. But I mean, so far it's there's a level of disconnect with that because Sam is not necessarily my face.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's the character. That's not me.
But it's you.
Kind of.
We wouldn't have Sam if you weren't the one that acted in it. Because, somebody else may not have been able to portray what you pulled off and to carry the character through.
Okay, well, now that you put it that way.
So let's go back to the beginning. I know that you had started out in commercials.
Yes.
Was that just because Mom was so proud that you were such a cute baby and wanted to
Oh.
get you out in there, or was that all you?
That was a lot me performing whatever I wanted to perform in front of whoever would watch as a kid. So I was what was it, like 4 or 5 years old. I would just memorize whatever the bedtime story was and recite my own version of it back to my parents. So like they would try and get, the book out and it's like, no, I know that story and let me tell you about this other version of the story. But then I would also be that kid where we would go to a mall or something and I'd start acting out, Lucasfilm, like scenes from whatever, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, anything like that. But I would also, when they would go shopping in any sort of mall and there was like a clothing shop or something, I would get behind the glass and stand like one of the mannequins. And I was so still at like 4 or 5 years old, people were like, no, there's no way a kid's standing that still. Until they got close enough. And then I wasn't so still. So, yeah.
So it was meant to be for you to be Sam.
Eventually, it turned out it's like, oh yeah, well, how about we send him to a class or something? And then that class, ended up being for acting, and I was one of the youngest people there. And then it turned out the person running the class was an agent, and then commercials. And then I got tired of smiling, so I was like, okay, well, let's try some TV or movie. Any openings for people my age?
Can you tell us a favorite memory from filming over the years and that a moment that just has stuck out as being special to you? Not necessarily Trick or Treat, but anything in your catalog.
Ooh. Well, moments that stand out and moments that are like some of the best or favorite moments, that means that there has to be a contrast. And for Trick or Treat, there's just so many good moments that it's really hard to pick.
Yeah, but
Like,
just
good
out of
moment.
everything in your catalog, just in general, it doesn't necessarily have to be Trick or Treat focused.
I'm really bad with designating like clear, like cut and clean favorites or not. There's like a whole bunch of other things, and I guess whatever. I guess I'd just choose what comes to mind. And Trick or Treat is one of my favorite things to film because I can remember so many moments of filming. I'd probably say the deleted scene where Sam eggs Charlie.
Yes.
Yes. You know this, yeah.
Yes.
So that one was fun because at the time I was 7. I was like, I get to what? I get to also flip him off and run away? You're letting me do this? You're not saying don't do that? Okay, yeah, I'll do it. And then later on after that, there was a movie that was released in 2012 called Imaginarium with the band Nightwish. That was so much fun to film.
Yeah.
I mean, it was filmed in Quebec, in Montreal, and it was one of the only 2 things I ever went to Montreal for.
Wow.
And yeah, it was quite a unique experience. Everything was filmed in a green screen studio, and like they would do, like some days they would be doing like some of their actual recording of their performances, and they had to do some practice sessions and stuff to like get it right for the thing, and it was like almost being at the concert, watching them perform. So that was a lot of fun. Very unique experience there too. Man in the High Castle, that was another show that I really had a lot of fun filming because there were so many scenes in that show that were like, well, it's different flavors of like why I like each of these things, but yeah. Oh, feedback, okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Out of all the roles that you have had in your lifetime, is there something that you would like to see reprised or redone that you felt like maybe at that time or looking back could have more potential or needs more storyline?
Oh, okay. Well, I wouldn't say no to a Trick or Treat 2, for one. There was this TV show pilot I was part of once. It didn't go anywhere, unfortunately, but I think if it comes back, that would be a really cool show. Like, if not to be in or part of, like, to watch. It was called 17th Precinct, and I think they used most of the cast of Galactica for, like, the main cast. And the whole concept of the show was kind of like a detective show, except how we perceive, like, science and magic was reversed. So everything was, they go to the crime scene, instead of finding, like the forensics or mortician, they call in the necromancer. They cast a couple spells. Oh, they take a picture. They just onto the paper. They don't go through the whole meticulous process of printing or taking a picture with a camera or anything like that. So then I think the first episode ends with they figure out, oh, wow, what's this? It's a handgun. What is that?
That's
I have no
crazy.
idea. And, like, the handcuffs is like this magic chain and stuff. That's, like, really cool. But yeah, I think I was the villain of the episode. I was a old man who was sentenced to living out longer years. Like, he got his clock rewound into being a kid again. And of course, he wanted to take revenge, so that happened. That was another thing that I thought was pretty cool and could have had more potential. I think maybe Man in the High Castle could have been a little longer, with, like, it definitely was on the slow side for the first season, like a lot of world building, and I think it kind of sped up as it got closer to season 4. But if they stretched it out, they probably could have got, like, another 3 seasons out of that, as far as, like, how much world there was to explore. That being said, like, on set, the set decoration and props department, they really went the extra mile with set detail. You could just take any book off the shelf, open it up, and it'd be like 4, 5, 6 pages of whatever it was supposed to be about. So, like, you had all that creative freedom as an actor on set. I'm just here.
That's amazing.
Right?
That's definitely amazing.
Crazy.
So, in light of Sam being your iconic character and portraying him, do you have any Halloween traditions that you follow going in?
Oh, well, always wearing a costume, that's one. I'm a little bit split on still on what I'm going to be as going as for Halloween, but
I love that you still dress up.
oh, of course.
That's fantastic.
I mean, there's so many people dressing up at the convention, so, like, I'm curious now if I should dress up for a convention, or if that would be too confusing, because I'd be behind my table and I'd still be wearing a costume, and it was like, wait, what costume and who? And okay, yeah. But yeah, no. The whole decoration of the house is a nice pastime. Even for Christmas as well. It's just whatever the holiday is. I mean, Halloween's definitely one of my favorite 2 holidays. Yeah, I almost say Halloween's, but
Halloween and Christmas?
Halloween and Christmas, yeah. Oh, speaking of, on set, because we were filming through the winter, there was, I think, like, one of the days closest to Christmas, I came to set in my orange jumpsuit, and I had the Christmas hat on, but it had, like, a connecting beard. And I called myself Santa Claus for the day and started handing
Santa
out
Claus.
gifts to the cast and crew. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm gonna have to tell my husband so he can dress our son up as that.
Oh, okay.
The Sam animatronic lives in my living room all year long. My son will not let us put it away.
Oh, wow. All right.
Once it came out for Halloween decorations, he's like, it's staying. So, do you have a favorite piece of fan art or a gift that is not trick-or-treat related?
That's not trick-or-treat
Because I'm
related.
sure you get hundreds of pieces of beautiful Sam fan art.
Oh, yeah. I don't think any art has been not Sam related. But that being said, like, I think there was, like, out of, I think just about all the fan art I've received is Sam related, but the one that I really liked the concept of that I was given recently was Sam in a pumpkin patch with Linus from Peanuts.
Oh my goodness.
And I had voiced Linus from
Right.
Peanuts briefly for some web episodes at sometime, and that was
That's a great collaboration.
it was a great crossover. The Great
Yeah.
Pumpkin. Yeah.
That's phenomenal. So you've worked with some really great people in your career. You have a stacked list: Benicio del Toro, Halle Berry, Danny DeVito, Matthew Broderick, Selma Blair, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Kira Sedgwick, Dakota Johnson. Like, how was that? And did any of them help shape kind of your acting? Like, give you some tips that you took on into the future that you still use?
Oh, wow. That's quite the question. I think everyone that I've encountered in any capacity, big or small, like they've definitely helped to progress me into who I am now. So I wouldn't say like any more time or less time with them, like looking back on it, would have been like I would not change my past for, a different future, because I do like the way things have gone. And, well, funny story about Benicio. That was for a film called Things We Lost in the Fire. And on the back of the DVD, there's a picture of me and him shaking hands because we have the same birthday. And besides that, you can basically, like, you can almost completely not realize that I'm in the movie at all, because I'm just sort of sat at a dinner table for one scene as a kid, and that's it. But the on-set experience and talking to everybody, that was a lot of fun.
So more recently with Trick or Treat, with its growing popularity still now to today, Halloween Horror Nights, Six Flags Fright Fest, they have done recreations of the mazes, and Michael has worked with them to do that for the masses and show them the set designs and all of that.
Yeah.
Have you been invited to do any of the walkthroughs yet?
Oh, well, I have not gone to Six Flags, but I think going next year, if it's still going on for Halloween, that would be a great idea.
Yeah, so I just recently went to Six Flags Fright Fest, Magic Mountain in Southern California, and we did the Trick or Treat house that they had put up, and I was actually at the convention where Michael came out at Midsummer.
Oh, really?
and announced that he was going to be a part of it, and he was going to be coming in and guest scaring and stuff like that.
Nice.
So I'm always just curious to see, like, when they do any of the big IPs on that, if any of our guests have ever been there to see it in person and see what they've done, just to see like the nostalgia that it brought back for any recreated scenes. Have you seen any of the walkthroughs online?
Oh, yeah, I have actually. It's looking really good. I was part of, I think, the Halloween Horror Nights that was just over in Universal when they did that, and walking through that with Mike and everything. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that one was very well done as well. We did that one as well.
Yeah.
So, as all of us fans of Trick or Treat, we've heard it talked about in nauseum for forever and ever and ever. There has been some talks of a second installment of Trick or Treat, and as of last year, it had entered into development stages.
Yes.
So, do we know if you get to be a part of that project?
Not yet,
Okay.
because I don't know yet. But I have heard that it has been written, but now it's just all the other stages that keep, you have to go through all these different steps, and then we can probably figure that out.
So, I would like to test our audience's knowledge to see if someone can impress you. If
Oh?
they can say all 7 rules,
Oh.
the 7 rules for trick-or-treating from Trick or Treat, and in order.
I would probably
people
fail
can
at
say
that.
them, but they can't necessarily say them in order. Does anybody think they can do it? Nobody? Does anybody know all 7? He's counting. I love it. He's like,
The thing is, I'm remembering like one of the trailers, and it had like the old 1950s-ish kind of preview saying some of the rules. Now I'm wondering if those really count or not towards the 7.
and the fun thing is I've seen several of your interviews where you've had the backdrop behind you with the
Oh, yeah.
rules written on the backdrop.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's go over the rules again, you guys.
Okay.
In order. First off is always wear a costume.
Yep.
It's definitely a must. Always pass out treats to trick-or-treaters.
Yep.
Never blow out a jack-o'-lantern before midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Always check your candy,
Mm-hmm.
because, you'll be throwing up on a porch somewhere.
Of course.
Always respect the dead.
Yes.
Never take down your decorations before November 1st. And never hurt the innocent.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Out of all of those rules, do you think that as Sam grew up and kind of gone a little bit further in life, do you think that Sam would have stuck by all 7 of these rules, or do you think that Sam would have had a teen rebellious side to break some of these rules?
Absolutely no rebellious side, I'd say that. But perhaps even adding a rule that might have existed all along, perhaps? That would be an interesting
And what do you think
addition.
that the general idea of that rule would be? Where do you think that it would lie?
No idea. I think it would be like an added rule because like as time goes on and the behavior of society changes, like different rules for different times, right?
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
definitely.
at some point there was only like 1 or 2 rules, right? And then eventually,
Just kept going and
Yeah.
going and going.
yeah.
Looking back now at the basis of Trick or Treat, and it's that hometown American feel, Halloween town. You'll be able to go around and trick or treat, and it's the neighborhood and the vibes. We don't have a whole lot of that these days. Do you think that bringing that back would be very conducive for our lifestyle now? And do you think Sam would be up to the same antics today as he was then?
That is interesting. Let me ask that. I guess it would really. Well, I definitely wouldn't have any complaints about seeing more trick-or-treaters out there, but. But yeah, I guess it's a question of like how many people are staying in for Halloween and just kind of watching something on a streaming service or whatnot, because that tends to be what people are more prone to doing these days than like in the past. So.
What was your experience on the set of Supernatural?
Oh, okay. That's going back to like 2005, 2006. It was brief because it was a character just to open the episode before the intro, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They had a really cool kind of set for where I initially see the clown, because this is the Everybody Loves the Clown episode. So I see in the reflection, they did a nice little effect with the seeing the clown in the reflection, turning around and having like the perfect timing for the clown to step away, because I turn with the camera, and so I didn't see as well as the camera. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I wasn't necessarily scared, but I really thought it was a cool effect. And then, of course, just knowing how creepy it is for me to bring a clown home and say he's my friend.
No. I don't do clowns, no.
Exactly.
That's not something that I would be able to. I can't even watch TV with clowns in it,
Oh.
cartoons, anything. So,
I gotcha.
definitely wouldn't survive that. And if someone would have been like, you turned around and there was a clown behind you, I'd been bolted, gone.
So I'm curious, what clown was the beginning for this? Was it it?
No.
No. Oh,
No.
Just.
Actually, I have a real life trauma with clowns.
Oh, okay.
So I was my 5th birthday, and back in the 80s, it was a whole thing with the balloon animals. Have the clown come over. Parents are outside having their margaritas, Bloody Marys, drinking. All of us kids are in with the clown doing the balloon animals and all that fun stuff. Well, this particular performer was up doing his balloon animals, and he blew the balloon up and it popped, but when it popped, he sucked in and it went down his throat.
Oh,
And
no.
it lodged in his throat, and so he is literally peeling his makeup off, like gasping for air. We're 5. We don't know. Parents are out back, and we can't get them to come in. We're like, we thought it was part of his act. We didn't know. And it's myself and my best friend sitting in the very front with all of our friends around us. And he's like gasping and he can't, and he's literally, eyes are watering, and he's just pulling all the makeup off of his face. And he falls on top of me and my best friend, and he dies. So that was my 5th birthday party, and I don't do balloons or clowns, and the combination of them together, I'm out. So it has been a trauma my whole life. I've never seen an It movie. I've never seen Terrifiers. When David Howard Thornton was here, he dressed up and did a photo op, and he had heard my story. Him and Damien both had heard my story. And he came up and took a picture with me, and he honked the horn right as the picture was being taken.
Oh, no.
Terrified me. Which, I mean, that's his job.
Yeah.
So I have not seen any of those movies. I've never seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Like, I can't.
Understandable.
And the worst part is I'm a haunt owner, and we have clowns. We have a whole clown maze in our haunt.
Oh.
I know everybody that's putting their makeup on, so I'm okay with that. But even meeting David out of costume and seeing him in terror, I can't do it. And the fact that he's silent, nope. I can't do it. It's something that I've never been able to get over.
I definitely get that.
We're looking at like 35 years, and I still can't get over it. So, is there something that you have thought about over the years that you would have liked to have changed about Sam? Something small, something big, something, maybe a scene that you felt like looking back and rewatching it that maybe you thought that maybe Sam could have gone a little bit further, or maybe pulled back in where he was going?
I don't think I've ever really had a thought like that cross my mind. Just because, like, it was a good amount of scenes, a lot of good experiences, and enjoying every one of them. I guess the only thing that I'd be, longing for, and the thought that really, crossed my mind when I was filming it is, just let me crawl on the ceiling.
Yes.
But they, something about safety concerns for the 7-year-old on the ceiling,
It was the 80s. We didn't have safety concerns back then like that. 2000s.
2007,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry. My brain is, yeah. So I know we have a huge audience here, and I know we have a ton of questions out here. So I definitely want to get to some questions and see what you guys have for him. We got some questions for right up here. Jimmy's good.
I'm coming. Hold on.
He's coming with the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
That way everybody in the back can hear you too.
Oh, it's the only. Hi, Quinn. Thanks for coming. I just want to ask you about your experience working with Joe Dante on The Hole.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you have any good memories or stories about that.
Yeah, that was an interesting movie. Yeah, I was a big fan of Gremlins, so working with him was just absolute pleasure. Oh yeah, they filmed that in 3D, I remember. And there were a couple of shots where they had me walking backwards, and then they reversed the footage and removed a few frames here and there. So like I had that sinister effect. Not too many other. This is one of the things I haven't really thought about that much because not many people know about the movie. But it's all coming back to me slowly but surely. Yeah, it was a good one to work on. It was one of the. Yeah, it's one of the few things I wore a wig for. Yeah. So that was interesting.
Any other questions? Right here, Jimmy, I'm in the front.
First, I saw Precinct 17 and I loved it. I really wish it had commentaries.
Me too.
You already touched on this a little bit, but I was just curious, just in terms of filmmaking, when you were doing Trick or Treat or any other movie, but that's the one I think of. As a child actor, were the other adult actors giving you like notes or like trying to direct you as to what to do or how to act?
No, not really. As far as I remember, I don't think there were any kind of like notes or directions from the adult actors. But I think a couple of times maybe I didn't hear what someone else said, so it was repeated to me. But I think I don't really think that falls under that category. So yeah, Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, we got one.
If you had a chance to play any other character, what would it be and why?
Well, something in the realm of action and or science fiction. That would be one of my dream roles because I'm pretty big on science fiction, but also action is a lot of fun. I did work on an indie film that was a Western and action, so I ended up, doing the whole, learning how to do the quick draw with the revolver and all that. That was a lot of fun. With blanks and like practical ammunition and stuff, so that was a lot of fun. I was just thinking, oh, what about, like a modern day environment or a science fiction environment, maybe more stunts and combat and stuff, because I've been trained in like stage combat and stuff, so I'm like, oh, can I just bring that to set one of these times, like do the choreography. Yeah. It would just be a lot of fun to flex those muscles. Yeah.
Any other questions, you guys? Well, I have another question for you. So recently, Call of Duty came out with a Sam skin.
Yep.
Have you played
Yeah.
as Sam?
Yeah.
And what's the best thing about it?
Oh, the assassination by far, of course.
I absolutely love that you get to melee with the lollipop and you get to cut throats.
Oh yeah, they also have the Holly Ho bar,
Yeah.
which I thought was amazing.
Yeah. I'm such a Call of Duty fan, and I was so excited when the skin came out, and I was like, yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Faster. I need it. Like,
Nice.
definitely enjoy that. So was that a shock to you to see that the skin, like, was that just crazy?
Yep. Especially because it was like being released with Art the Clown from Terrifier at the same exact time. I'm like, oh.
It's kind of a sinister duo.
I'm gonna have to play that then.
It's a sinister duo. If you were like playing teams and you and your buddy were Art and Sam and
Yeah.
wreaking havoc.
Oh, but that's the thing, isn't it? Because they have that weird sort of system in the game where it's like you're either on this team or that team, the good guy or the bad guy team, and it's
Yeah.
like Sam's on the good guy team, but then Art is on the opposite team. I'm like, so like it's a coin flip whether I get to play as Sam or not, and I'm like, no. But yeah, it's very surreal to see that happen. So I've played that quite a bit recently. I might have to play that some more.
Yeah, definitely. I
And-
definitely think that's in my game plan for the rest of Halloween season as well.
As long as you do wear a costume and
All the stuff, all the things, yes.
the decoration, yeah.
So do you have any big projects that are coming up that you want to share with anybody, or even smaller projects, working on anything?
There is, an indie superhero movie that I was part of that's anime inspired that I filmed in Oklahoma. That is the most recent project. And this was yet another experience, almost like the Western that I mentioned earlier, about it, how it's an independent movie with the action aspect in a Western environment. Whole lot of fun to film. This one also was a whole lot of fun to film because it's the first time I was ever speaking another language on screen. So I was speaking some Japanese lines here and there. And for the fight sequences in the movie, because, it's a premise of teenagers gain superpowers and save the world for Y2K. The fight scenes are all animated in like the old school 2D animations, like actually hand drawn. And the director was very adamant about that, and it turned out pretty cool. Like for an indie film as well, it's like pretty good. So if anime is up your alley, that's something I was part of recently. Yeah, that's.
Do you have any desire to produce, direct, move forward in film and do more in the industry?
I'd say yes, just for the sake of I haven't done that before. So writing, I've been doing that a bit on the back burner, but maybe I'll try and make something happen with that, because there have been a couple of things that I've thought of the idea of, and I was like thinking, oh, I want to watch that, and then I write the thing, and then I think more, I want to watch that, but then I just haven't really gone through all the necessary steps, of course, to to force it into being a real thing. Similar to 17th Precinct, like earlier, it's like one of the things where I want to watch more of that. So yeah, of course, all the things that I'm writing are sci-fi this, sci-fi that. So sci-fi comedy, sci-fi horror, sci-fi action. But yeah, I'm thinking. I am wondering if anyone would be interested if I were to, write like a sci-fi horror script or something, and then bring the script to conventions or some other kind of preview of it. But
What do you guys think?
It would be
Sci-fi horror?
Okay. All right.
So I've also heard that there's this story going around of somebody that you would love to play, an iconic character
Okay.
that you would like to have a part of, and I'd like to pick your brain about that and hear a little
Okay.
bit more.
So.
What is this desire for Doctor Who?
Oh, really?
You did an interview and you said that you wanted to be in Doctor Who, and then
That-
you were.
That must have been an interview from a while ago. And yes, that does track. I definitely am a Doctor Who fan. I probably couldn't, pull off, like the main spotlight, like the Doctor. So perhaps like
You
a
can do
walk-on
anything
role
you
or
set your
something.
mind to.
Oh, of course. That is always the thing, but I don't
Is
think I'd be
there-
able to keep up with the words per minute, to be honest. Like,
Is there a specific iteration of Doctor Who that you would like to portray, or a favorite?
Well, there was this impact it had on my life. So, yeah, number 10 was pretty good. Of course, 11 as well.
Doctor Who fans?
And 12.
Doctor Who fans?
Yeah. But yeah, recently my craze with sci-fi has leaned more into Star Trek, so now I have the entire phone interface.
That's, our friend just bought a Tesla, and his Tesla makes Star Trek noises.
Of
He has
course it does.
programmed, and I'm like, this
Yep.
is insane. Like,
Hmm.
it's amazing what technology has brought upon.
Oh yeah, I have the Bluetooth badge. So I'm still like, oh, should I do that for Halloween or not? Oh.
Be a Trekkie? I mean, why not?
I mean, I haven't worn that costume for Halloween yet, but now I'm starting to think, well, there's all the rest of October, so each day in October could be a different costume. It's a lot of costumes.
What about a crazy mashup where you turn Sam into a Trekkie?
Oh boy. Wear the mask that goes under the mask.
Just wear the jumpsuit and then put one of the Trekkie shirts on overneath it with your little badge.
Or instead of red, blue, and yellow, it would be orange,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow, what a.
Hey,
What a
mashups are
concept.
anything
It's
that
a
you
lot
want
of-
them to be these days. That could be a
Oh.
you could start a whole trend.
I saw a Deadpool with, I think, the Bane mask earlier. Just
Yeah.
walking around the convention. I got a good photo with him. Yeah. It was
Deadpool
a
has
good costume.
everybody's face these days.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to open it up to any more last questions. Anyone, thoughts, thank yous for making an impact?
Oh.
Go ahead.
What was it like watching yourself as a child, while you were a child, portraying Sam?
It was kind of interesting. And thinking back on it, I think maybe a little disconnected because, the face was covered. So it was like, oh, that's not quite me. But there was the other character that I played, the Peeping Tom character, where he's wearing the little monkey costume. And that, it was kind of interesting. I mean, I just thought it was a lot of fun. Didn't really, I guess I never really entered the mindset of like, oh, I could have done that better, could have done that better. I think maybe as I get older, I have a hint of that, but then it's like, well, what am I going to do, change it? But
All
yeah.
right. Anyone, we got one more?
So I'm always curious when I come across child actors, because I've been watching horror movies since I was 2. My mother was furious. My grandmother's the one who started me. I'm always curious, at what age do child actors, or you in particular, did you start watching horror movies, and did it impact you in any different way being in a horror movie? Like, did it desensitize you to horror?
Probably did, because I saw how the horror movie, like how it works. And I learned from an early age as well that, well, I figured it out myself, but, if I was watching a movie that particularly scared me, half of it was the soundtrack, so I just went like this instead of this. But as far as things that I actually was scared of as a kid were actually like natural disaster kind of movies. So the movie Volcano, that was like the thing that I was scared of. But then it was like I would watch anything else that's horror themed and then wouldn't really get too scared of it. Yeah, I wouldn't really get scared too much unless it was like a jump scare or something. But yeah, I do enjoy like a nice psychological thriller kind of thing. Pretty decent. Yeah, pretty
Okay, well, I think that was going to be our last question. I think we're going to wrap it up. You guys, thank you for coming to the panel and sitting with Quinn and hearing his stories.
Oh,
Quinn will be back at his table, so please stop by, show love, get some autographs, get some pictures with him, and make his welcome here very great, and so that we can have him back another day.
yeah, and if you want to just stop by and ask more questions, like if you thought of one after leaving here, or if you didn't get to ask one or something, I'm going to be at the table, so.
And he prefers one-on-one interactions instead of groups better, so you'll probably get some more solid responses that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just because, like, there's the specific questions and stuff, so, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys, and thank you, Quinn, for the panel today.
My pleasure.